UFC Des Moines, Iowa is this Saturday night, and we have 12 fights headlined by Corey Sandhagen taking on Davison Figueiredo. This is a very good fight night. It might not be pay-per-view worthy, but it is much better than some of these Apex shows we've been getting lately. And we have 12 fights. I'm going to be going through each and every one of them, starting at the bottom. That's right, you guys did vote, and the vote results are in. You guys voted for bottom to top. So we're going back to the OG way, like we've done for 5 years, from the bottom to the top, every single fight as always. I'm going to give my picks, my bets so far on this card, and let me know in the comments what bets you guys already have, what your favorite underdog on this entire card is. Like the video, click subscribe, turn those post notifications on so you don't miss Wager Wars. We will be live tomorrow night as always, and live every single week. Next week we got the pay-per-view, so we'll have 2 Wager Wars episodes. So make sure you turn those post notifications on and subscribe so you don't miss it. Let's get into it, man. First fight on the night, we got Juliana Miller taking on Ivana Petrovic. Yeah, I mean, this is a lower level fight. You know, Petrovic coming off that loss to Jamie Linhorth. That was a pretty bad look. I mean, Luana Carolina's actually been looking a little bit better in some of her recent fights, so it's not the worst ever. But Na Liang, that's about as low level of a win. So it's, you know, she's fighting low level competition, 1 and 2, and you know she's a decent favorite here against Juliana Miller, who obviously, you know, overall doesn't have the best record herself in MMA. I mean, 3 and 3. You know, came into the Ultimate Fighter, obviously, you know, won, looked good there, but hasn't been looking great since. I think the volume, you know, if this goes to decision, maybe her volume could give Petrovic some trouble. I just don't think. I think she's gonna be too acceptant of the bottom position, give up takedowns here, which is gonna give up rounds. I think Petrovic wins the fight using her grappling. So, you know, could be close. I get people taking underdog shots, but I can't do it. I'm gonna go Petrovic by decision. And we can move on to the next one. We got Dantel Mays taking on Thomas Peterson. Thomas Peterson did get knocked out less than 3 months ago, so something to think about. But he is coming in as a decent favorite as well, minus 250 around over Dantel Mays, a guy who's been in the UFC for a long time. You know, beats the guy at the absolute lowest level. Has a couple alright wins. I mean, Pete Arlowski actually finished him though, which doesn't happen often. Obviously, he's a huge guy. Known for training with John Jones and, you know, great guys, but never really see that in his skill. You know, a big guy, but, you know, just not the most technical guy, not really great anywhere. I think Peterson can take him down. You know, you would think Mays' wrestling would be better than it is, getting all this work in with John Jones, but it's just never been good. I'm sure Peterson can take him down, but, you know, he struggled a little bit with his grappling, and you know, if he decides to just strike, this could be close. So, am I trying to lay minus 250 on Peterson? Actually, what the line is now, yeah, about minus 250, minus 270 on Peterson. A lower level heavyweight fight, the equivalent to lower level women's MMA. You know, coming off a knockout loss, especially. No, I'm not. So I'll go Peterson. Peterson by decision most likely, but no bet on that one. Next up, we got Gaston Balanos taking on Kong Lee. This seems to be like the MMA Twitter's favorite fight on the prelims, at least. You know, people on one side or the other, and I definitely understand why. I mean, Lee, you know, he was an underdog I was taking a look at early on in the week because, you know, I do think Gaston Balanos, a guy who was getting taken down by Aaron Phillips, like over and over. He did win the fight, but he was getting taken down. I'll give him a pass on the Marcus McGee loss. And then the Cortavius Romeus, it's not like that was, I mean, the guy who just got cut, really small for the division, and, you know, it is what it is. He got the win. I picked him in that fight. I bet him in that fight, but, you know, I never was high on Romeus. I faded him in his last 2 fights, so, you know, I do feel like Lee could get takedowns here. It's just a matter of, you know, is he really going to go all out for that? And then if he does, can he finish him? Because if he doesn't, can he wrestle for 2 rounds? I don't know if I really see that. It's not really something that Lee has done a ton in his career so far. So he's probably just going to, like, throw hands and try to knock Bolaños out, which is possible for sure. But I do think Bolaños is the much better technical striker. Probably can just piece him up on the feet. He could win a decision. He could knock Lee out himself. So I wanted to get on the underdog here, but I don't think I can do it. I'm going to go Bolaños. I'm going to take him, and you know what? I'm going to say knockout. I think the way these guys are going to fight, there's probably going to be a finish. I get it's the smaller guys. Maybe it goes 15, but I'm going to say Balanos by knockout. Let's move on to the next one. Next up, we got Marina Rodriguez taking on Jillian Robertson. Robertson's actually, she's been on a good run. 4-1 in her last 5. Only lost to Tabitha Ricci. Obviously, solid opponent. Marina, man, been taken down in her last 11 fights. Somebody tweeted that out. That's a crazy stat. And it's just been the tale of her career. Her last fight, I actually had her as a big dog against Lucindo. That was a really close fight. Could have went either way, but she just can't stop the takedowns, and that's just a big problem in her whole career. I did see the KO prop is 10-1. I get anybody taking a shot on that, but it's probably not gonna be something I do because I'm just not the biggest. Like in the last fight, I tried to take a shot on her there. Just Lucindo, a girl I still am not like the highest on, but pretty skilled. I just after that performance, I really do feel like Robertson should be a pretty big favorite. She's been looking better than ever. Her striking's getting better, but she knows where her bread's buttered, man. She's gonna come out here, shoot takedowns. Maybe she gets a submission, but Marina is a tough girl to submit. She probably makes it 15, and then decision. I see 30-27 probably. Jillian Robertson with the grappling, with the takedowns, and we can move on to the next one. Next up, we got Azamat Bakoyev taking on Ryan Loder, and this is a really interesting fight, man. Bakoyev coming off that win in his debut over Zach Reese. Obviously, he's got a really pretty record. He's got a ton more experience than Ryan Loder. And on paper, I get why he's the big favorite. He's the Russian, solid wrestler. They're both wrestlers. You got the American wrestler versus the, Russian. But, Bakoyev, even though he's got all that experience, he's got a pretty record and stuff. But, you go through his competition, it's not the best, and then you watch that Budka fight, and I know everybody's talking about it, but seriously, go back and actually watch the fight. It's really not a good look, and it's not like it was forever ago. It was less than 2 years ago. It was 4 fights ago, and the guys he fought since, it's like low-level competition, including Zach Reese, a guy I'm not very high on, and, a lanky guy that, you can take him down and smash him. That's what happened. But Ryan Loder, his striking sucks, but, he's first of all, he's a big guy. Like, he's pretty big, man. Bakoyev, he's jacked. He's on the special supplements. But, Ryan Loder's definitely not a small middleweight by any means. And, a little bit more solid. Like, I think he, with his wrestling, with his, he's not as, lanky and friggin', Zach Reese, he doesn't have any wrestling, and he's got just his build and the way he fights so tall. He's easy to take down. It's going to be tougher for Bakoyev to get takedowns here. And then, Ryan Loder has takedowns of his own. On the feet, I do think Bakoyev has a big advantage, but, Ryan Loder, I'm sure he's working on that, but his striking is pretty basic. I don't know. I really do think this line is pretty wide, man. I do think Bakoyev should be the favorite. I'll pick him to win. But, man, I haven't bet Ryan Loder yet because I'm typically the parlay boys will be striking right before the fights. And, the highest the line was at was plus 330. It's plus 315 now. If I lose a couple points, not the end of the world. Even plus 300, I'll bet. So I will be putting money on Ryan Loder. I'm going to see if I can get an even better line. It's plus 315 right now. There might even be a plus 330 still out there. I think there was on a couple books. But at least it's plus 315 on Bet Online right now. I will be betting it. Just going to wait on that line. I just think the line's too wide. I think Loder could get on top. And if they just strike, I think Bakoyev has advantages. But I don't think he has a 4-1 advantage on the feet. So, give me Bakoyev. I'll take him by decision. But, I will be betting Loder. Next up, we got Yana Santos taking on Miesha Tate. Man, I'm going to cut this short and sweet, man. I'm just not interested. Look, Yana Santos had a decent performance in her last fight, but it was Chelsea Chandler who just got smoked by friggin' what's her name? Jocelyn Edwards, and knocked out. I'm not saying Jocelyn's terrible. I don't know, man. Yana Santos didn't look terrible in that last performance. Miesha Tate looked okay, but it was against a girl who had 1 foot out the door and, never had takedown defense. It was a stylistic dream for Miesha Tate. She took a year and a half off, and now she's fighting Yana Santos, who took 8 months off herself. So, I don't know, man. I think this fight is as on paper, like, if Miesha Tate is able to get takedowns, she's going to win. If they play out on the feet for the most part, Yana Santos wins. I'm going to go Yana Santos. I think, at this point of their career, I could see her stuffing a couple takedowns. Then they just turns into a 15-minute kickboxing fight, or at least like 12 of the minutes, and Yana is able to edge her. Am I super confident? No. She's got plus money next to her as well. Give me the slight underdog, Yana Santos, by decision. We will move on to a much better fight. Big favorite for Mason Jones, making his comeback to the UFC against Jeremy Stephens, also making his comeback to the UFC. Stephens is like 2-6 in his last 8 MMA fights, but he did have a bit of a resurgence. He also lost a boxing fight to like Chris Avila and Jose Aldo, right? But he did go 3-0 on bare knuckle, kind of had a little resurgence, and that's why he's back. They're also fighting in his hometown, so got to weigh those in. This is also a lightweight against, I know on paper it might not look like too much of a difference. Mason Jones is a solid lightweight. He's going to have a size and strength advantage. He's going to have a wrestling advantage. He's going to have a volume advantage. It's just a matter of, can Jeremy Stephens knock him out? If you're taking Jeremy Stephens, take the knockout. I'm not going to lie. I've been taking a look at what the books are going to open the knockout prop at. I saw like an 8-1. I don't know, man. 39-year-old, 2-6 in his last 8 MMA fights, losing to Chris Avila in boxing, and then, it's just, I don't know. He could knock Mason Jones out, but I think Mason Jones is very good. Only losses to Ludovic Klein and Mike Davis. Just really had a rough run there, and this no contest was BS too. I had money on him there. That hurt. He was beating the piss out of Petrovic. Also beat Onamo. That win's aging good. Mason Jones is a beast. He's very much UFC caliber. He should have never been out of the UFC. He had a tough run. That freaking Cameron Simon's having a similar freaking, some guys just get tough matchups, man. And I think Mason Jones comes here, uses the volume, makes in some takedowns, and wins the fight. But if I get a crazy prop on a knockout for Jeremy Stephens, maybe I throw a couple sprinkle on there so I can root for my boy. But it should be Mason Jones. Mason Jones, maybe if you want to play it, you could take him by decision. It's plus money. You're turning a huge favorite into I know Jeremy's been finished like 6-7 times, but he is tough. He typically is tough to go 15. It's in his hometown. He still wants to go back to bare knuckle after this. He ain't trying to get knocked out, and I don't see Mason Jones submitting him. So I think Mason Jones by decision could be a good play. I'm considering it, but I haven't played it yet. Next up, we got Cameron Smotherman taking on Siri City. This is an interesting fight. City had that split to Ramon Tavares. Also knocked Ramon Tavares out, but that was kind of a weird stoppage. A couple weird fights there, and then a split with Garrett Armfield in his last one. And I'm not going to lie, I was on the Garrett side. I had money on him. But I honestly thought Garrett might have won that fight. It is what it is. I'm biased, but, So some weird last results, and I haven't been really blown away. And I get Cameron Smotherman. Everybody always says, oh, he doesn't have a chin. He doesn't have wrestling. Well, I'll be honest. I don't think City has the most power. And, I get it. He has some knockouts on his record, but I don't think he's like some crazy power puncher. And I don't think he has the wrestling to really exploit the main way to beat Smotherman. Because I think the chin thing's kind of overblown. He fights, he gets into some brawls sometimes, and he's paid the price a couple times. But, I think he's a pretty solid fighter, and I know he's getting in some good training over there. Where did I see? He's getting in some high-level training right now. I'm trying to remember. I was stalking his Instagram a little bit, but damn, it's got to bother me. I'm going to remember as soon as I move on to the next fight. But he's getting in some really high-level training with some high-level UFC guys. Somebody who just fought for a title. But anyways, if this stays on the feet, I could see him. I know City's going to be the bigger guy. He's going to, he's got some really technical striking, but I really don't see him grappling a ton. I think he's going to strike, and on the feet, I really do think it's a close fight. I think Smotherman could knock him out. I think Smotherman could win, just having some big moments on the feet. I think he throws some decent volume himself. I'm going to go with Smotherman. I bet him at plus 142. I still think he's plus 120. I still think you can bet that. I think he's going to straight up win the fight. I'm gonna pick him by decision. I think City's got a pretty good chin, but I think Smotherman hurts him a time or two, wins in a striking fight. He could knock him out, though. But I'm going to go Smotherman by decision, and we'll move on to the next one. Next up, we got Montel Jackson taking on Daniel Marcos. I almost bet Montel Jackson, and, I've been on the fence because he's still sitting around minus 200, and I've been looking for a spot to fade Marcos. I've bet him a good bit in his career, but I have been waiting for him to get like a little bit of a step up, and I've been waiting for Montel to get a step up. Not that I wanted to fade him, but because, he doesn't fight often, so he's always coming in like once a year, and because of that, he never gets to move up the rankings. The division is probably the best in the UFC and the world. So I think Montel's super good, man. You always got to hear he's got like pound for pound the biggest hands in the UFC. You got to hear that every time he fights. You got to hear that, he's a huge guy metric-wise. He's got a bunch of power, good wrestling, solid jiu-jitsu, solid cardio for someone who fights like he does. Like, he's really good. The only problem with him is the inactivity. And Marcos, he stayed active. He's got a pretty record. He knows how to win. He should be 18-0. Well, unless you think he lost a couple of those splits, because that Davey Grant one was close. He had a couple close ones. But, I think Marcos is very good, but I really do think the finish upside's on Montel's side. As long as he's coming in shape, the inactivity is the only thing that ever scares me with him. I think skill for skill, he's the better fighter, and I think he's got the finish upside. He's a better fighter. He should be the favorite. I'm going to take Montel Jackson. I think Marcos is tough. I'll go decision. I've been really torn. Montel could knock him out, man. But I'm going to lean on Marcos' durability. I'm going to say Montel by decision. I thought about parlaying him, but I'm going to lay off, and we'll move on to the next one. Santiago Ponzanibio taking on Daniel Rodriguez. It's a good fight, man. Really close line for a reason. I think it's a really good fight. And I've been seeing people on both sides. I know this line's kind of moved around a little bit, but I get it. Both guys getting up there. Both guys haven't been looking themselves, really. It's just, for me, Santiago, he used to be the dark horse of the division. He had a lot of health problems, the inactivity, and then he came back. He took a bunch of damage. Now it's like, is the chin the same? D-Rod, his chin's there, but he doesn't always seem like he really cares about winning or losing. And, it really seems like he's just kind of meh about, like, the result. One thing about Ponzanibio, man, you'll see him, like, even in that Morono fight, you saw his heart. You saw his heart in the last fight, the Harris fight. He got hurt. The chin does worry me, but I really do think Ponzanibio, like, he's just better. He's just a straight-up better fighter. He's better probably everywhere the fight goes. It's just a matter of, can his chin hold up? And I will say, outside of that, D-Rod has good volume. He'll throw volume. So if it goes to decision, it could be close. But I'm going to say the better fighter wins. And I'm going to go with Santiago Ponzanibio. I hope he doesn't, get clipped here, because it could happen. But I'm going to say Santiago Ponzanibio wins. I got him at plus money, plus 105. I didn't think that the line, I figured it would start moving more, but it's kind of hung around. I think he's like minus 105, minus 110. So we'll see where the line goes. But I think Ponzanibio wins. I think he's the better fighter. I'm going to one more ride with my boy Ponzanibio. I've bet on him a lot in his career. I'm still profitable with him. It's been a little bit of a rough run for him lately, but he made me money in his last one. Let's say he does it again. Ponzanibio, I'm going to say by knockout. I'm going to say Ponzanibio knocks him out. D-Rod's always been durable, but I've been thinking decision all week, and then today I was like, why do I have this feeling somebody's going to get knocked out? And I'm going to say it's D-Rod. So Santiago by knockout. We move on to the next one. Rainer de Ridder taking on Bo Nickel. And, man, this was going to be the other leg of that. I really have been sat all week considering parlaying Bo and Montel. Because I'm not... Look, like, I bet Rainer de Ridder against Kevin Holland. Easy money. But I just, Jesus, you don't get a more opposite stylistic matchup. And this is just completely different. Bo Nickel's a freaking tank. Good luck taking him down. It's straight up not happening. Probably nobody... Unless they just straight up surprise him, is ever taking Bo Nickel down. Unless he either fights till he's 40 or gets caught off guard. I mean, dude's one of the highest level wrestlers we've ever seen. Could potentially be the highest level wrestler we've ever seen. Potentially. So, chill out. Don't give me shit. 29, coming into his own. People give him shit for the last one because it wasn't entertaining. Dude, he didn't take the jiu-jitsu guy down and give him his only path. Like, relax, man. I get it. But, like, relax. I probably should be parlaying this because I honestly think he's going to smash Rayner. I really do. I like the Ritter. He seems like a likable guy. I think he's pretty good. Like he probably is the better striker here, but I think Bo Nickel, that being said, could knock him out. But Bo Nickel's going to be the more durable guy. He hits harder. He's a little bit basic with the striking and the combinations. Like, he can get a little, a little transparent. But I think Bo by how he wants. I think if he wants to take this dude down, he could avoid the submissions and smash him. If he decides to keep it on the feet like last fight, I think he can knock the Ritter out. Honestly, I do. But I'm going to go Bo Nickel. I might parlay him. I don't know. I'm not a parlay guy, and it's like the only bets I've been losing this year of my parlays. But I've been hitting all my money lines, so I should just not. But it could happen. Corey Sandhagen taking on Deiveson Figueiredo in the main event. Like the video, click subscribe, post notifications. Let me know in the comments who you guys are betting. We got Corey Sandhagen minus 500. And I know everybody was talking about the shape Figgy was in. Go check. He's actually in, I will say, like pretty much normal shape. It was a little alarming to see that he got a little extra chubby in the off season for this one, but go look at him. He's shredded, and it is 135, so he's gonna be carrying a little bit more weight. I get it's still a little bit of a red flag. Let's be honest, 37. I've never seen him look that chubby between fights. It's a little bit of a red flag, but he's a big underdog, and I'm not gonna lie, I have been like eyeing that line, like damn, Deiveson Figueiredo 4-1, because this is still one of the best finishers. Dude's got nasty chokes, huge power for the division. I guess for flyweight, we haven't totally seen it translate to bantam yet, but what we have seen is him come in here and do some wrestling. And he did show his power against Jan, dropped him. And, he's gone in there and done some wrestling in these fights, man. And the thing is, though, can he wrestle Corey? Because I'm sure he can take Corey down. Corey can be taken down, but he can also get takedowns of his own. And, I'm sure early Figgy could take him down, but how much gas is that going to use? If Figgy wants to keep going to that wrestling, he probably slows down. And Corey's got wrestling of his own. This is a 5-round fight. If this was 3 rounds, and God forbid it was even close to plus 400, I'd be all over it. I could see Figgy winning 2 rounds of a 3-round fight. But it's going to have, not only will it be tougher just being 5, but he's going to have to change his whole game plan. Like, I don't think he's going to come in and try to wrestle for 3 rounds. Maybe he'll try a little bit, but that's a tough game plan, man. And Corey is a huge bantamweight, and Figgy's a small bantamweight. This is 5'5" versus 5'11". That's pretty crazy. Now, I will say, the reach isn't that crazy. It's kind of crazy. Corey's got some short arms, but, it doesn't account for the legs, the leg reach, the kicks, the knees. So, yeah, I think Corey wins this fight, man. If this line goes even further, it's like, damn, somebody with as much finish upside as Figgy, a former champ, maybe you just get forced into it. But, man, I really do feel like this is a tough matchup for Figgy. This is kind of a bounce back spot for Corey, and I think that's what the UFC's trying to do. They know Figgy's getting up there. His potential at this weight class, we've probably seen the ceiling. And I think Sandhagen is somebody they're trying to give a title fight to here, coming up. So I think Corey wins the fight, man. I think Corey maybe a late finish, but I'm going to go decision. Corey decision. So let me run through my picks, and then I'll run through my bets one more time. I'm going to go Corey decision. Bo Nickel, I'm going to say by knockout. Santiago Ponzanibio, knockout. Montel Jackson, decision. Cameron Smotherman, decision. Torn on that. Could be a knockout. I'm going to go Mason Jones by decision. Yana Santos, decision. Bakoyev, decision. Jillian Robertson, decision. Balanos, knockout. Peterson, decision. And Petrovic, decision. As far as my bets, I have Ponzanibio plus 105 locked in. I have Smotherman plus 142 locked in. haven't locked in Ryan Loder yet, but I will 100% be betting him. Just waiting to see what line I can get on that. So, like the video, click subscribe, turn those post notifications on. Check out Wager Wars tomorrow night. And appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody who voted the last couple shows. It went on a little longer than I anticipated, but it was honestly kind of close. And you guys were pretty passionate about that. So sorry for the ones who wanted top to bottom. Maybe we'll redo a vote later on. But the people have spoken. I appreciate you guys. I will catch you guys tomorrow night and then Friday night. So until then, good luck. Play some smart bets. Take your time. Watch the line movement. Good luck. Peace.